Hey everybody, we are live here for a live edition of the Copy Corner. It's Terry Schilling.
And Dan Marzullo.
Yes, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. How are you today, Terry?
I'm doing well, man. The sun's shining here in Chicago. We have an awesome topic for you guys today on today's episode of the Copy Corner. This is our little corner of the internet where Dan and I share copywriting tips, content writing tips, digital marketing tips, freelance marketing tips for all you freelancers, service providers, or anybody who has a desire to learn more about copywriting and content writing to help grow your business. This is the show for you. We are across podcast. We're doing videos. We're going live on YouTube right now. So if you're listening to this on podcast and hear that, it's all good. You can just follow us on YouTube and watch it live. But now you're listening to it on your commute or around while you're cleaning, if you are getting back to work these days.
Heck yeah, Terry. We're everywhere, man.
I'm trying to be, man. Trying to be. But Dan, what are we going to be talking about today? We are going to be talking about, I'll answer for you. So we're going to talk about the best questions to ask your freelance clients when you're on that sales call. So imagine that somebody reaches out to you, whether it's through Upwork, whether it's through LinkedIn, referral, they want to set up a time. They heard you're really good and can help them with copywriting or content writing. And maybe you get a little nervous. What type of questions should I ask on this call? How should I prepare to set myself best up, for success? And even Dan, to make sure that this is the right fit for you ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely, Terry. So I guess my first question here that I think of that I want to ask clients when I'm on a call or prospective leads, whoever you're talking to, right, is what content marketing efforts are producing the most of your ROI? Because I think you can get a lot of good insight out of this question, right? It's a starting point to see what's working for them. Are they, are they getting a lot of organic traffic from, SEO blog posts, or are they doing PPC to a lead magnet to download for an email nurture? So it really kind of gives you a good glimpse of where they're at, what they're doing. And then that kind of helps you brainstorm, right, how you're going to help them and what solution is going to be best that you provide for them. And then second, really, it gives you a lot of insight into how they're tracking and measuring their results. Because a lot of people say, no, I don't know, Dan, we just try a bunch of different stuff. We throw stuff at the wall and hopefully something works. So that kind of, you get to know kind of where you're at. Or if they're very data driven and they know what they've tried that does or doesn't work for their industry, gives you a lot of good insight so that you can plan how you can best help them. So I think for me, that's always what I start with is, okay, let's get on the same page, see where they're at. But what about you, Terry? I mean, other than that, what do you go into?
Yeah, for me to get clear on, what they're looking to accomplish. And of course, we'll get some details via email or may see the job description before we set up the call to see. But I always like to, preface it as just like, I just want to make sure that this is the right fit. So I'd love to find a time to chat to see if this is a good creative fit. But then when we get into it, I just want to be specific about, what type of copywriting services do you need? Just from my perspective, being a copywriter, because, they may just need, hey, I'm building a website and I need some new copy. But there might be more to it. They might want to write some blog content. They may be wanting to do a funnel where they have a call to action that takes them to another separate landing page. So getting a clear idea of that makes me better able to help them. But plus, kind of reference what you said, there could be some trigger words in there that be like, oh, we can turn this into a larger project, maybe offer a little bit more. And that way, then you can package some services and maybe make a little bit more money too, which is always nice. So try to get clear what specific services do you need? I think that's a good way to phrase that. And then also, what prompted you to reach out to me? Because this helps them set up where they talk about their different challenges right now. It's like, well, it could get back to some ROI. It's like, well, right now I look at my website and I just don't like what it says. And, it's not engaging enough. I just feel like people don't understand what we do and what we're about. They may say something like that. And that just really helps, let you know, it's like, okay, I can really help with them. I do brand messaging services. I think this is a good fit, for us to collaborate together. So I think those two questions are really important because, again, you want to know what those challenges are, and I think that just helps, set this up of just like, this guy can help me out, right? This guy or girl can help me out because I need help with this. This is a struggle for me. You're really helping them, say all these things out loud, and that way, then you can tailor your services and your response to finding that solution. It's like, if you give me this, I'll give you that type of vibe back and forth, which is nice.
Yeah.
No, how would you, Go ahead, Dan.
I was just gonna say that's great, Terry. It all kind of ties back to that consultative sales process, right? It's not you're
Yeah.
getting on the phone and let me sell you this and I'll do this, this, and that for you. It's hey, what do you need? Okay, here's how I can help,
Yeah.
provide that
Yeah.
solution.
Absolutely. And then how do you, Dan, navigate the budget side of it? Now, do you get an idea before the call to see, that at least your guys are on the same page?
Yeah, it totally depends, right? For me, we kind of start, with the conversation, doing that discovery of, okay, well, what do you need? And kind of get a clear picture of how we're going to package all that up, what that looks like. And then, usually I'll kind of finish that call off with, okay, well, what's your budget look like for this? And then we can kind of fit in what we can depending on what they have, if they're on a tighter budget. Because for us, really, it kind of comes down to how aggressive they want to be in the volume. So if we can kind of make something work for them based on their budget, great. If it's a total off, not even close to lining up, then you just right out of the gate, hey, this isn't a good fit, But one of the things that I always do is if we're, not within their price point is I try to refer them to somebody who is. So it's not like you're leaving them hanging, like still try to be resourceful and give them some other people to kind of consider that could do the work within what they're looking for.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I think, and that's always a tough one to navigate. And I kind of like to take the approach of if we're out of the budget range when I first propose it, is don't just necessarily sacrifice then your services. It's just go to fit their budget maybe for what you do. So it's like, oh, well, we can start with 2 blogs then to fit your budget and see, if that works for you. And then if you like to extend it, we can do more for you. Something like that. If you really do want the work, and you feel that it could be that good fit, find a way to adjust it where you can be flexible to their budget, but don't sacrifice all your services where it's like, okay, I'll give you this whole package then, and we'll take $400 off or what have you. Like you don't have to do that. You don't have to act that desperate, But one thing I saw online, Dan, was an interesting way how people phrase this is what's the budget for, what's your budget, but flipping it to what's the budget. I just find that just like almost this psychological factor of just like, well, my budget, I would love to go as inexpensive as possible, but the budget makes them think more of a broad scale of the exact project of what it is. Just because I think your budget, just leaves the conversation kind of objective in that aspect.
Yeah, no, that's a good little tweak. I like that in just the phrasing. And I think, I'm sure, Terry, you've got, this probably happens to you a lot as well, but a lot of times for us, it's, they don't want to tell you the budget right away, or they're not sure. So they just want to see some options, right? Of, hey, well, let's see a few packages because we don't really know. And based on what you can provide at these levels, then we'll kind of make the decision. So do you kind of face that a lot too? And then you just send them a few options or?
Yeah, man, it's interesting. So, if I get something like that, I'll give them a few different packages that can work within it, maybe kind of give them a lower cost, but then, that type of method where we put, that sets the anchor, like, oh, I can get way more if I do end up doing this.
Right.
So I think that's a good way to set it up. And then of course, everybody listening out there, when you're talking, don't forget to ask about timeline. Like, when do you need this project completed? Make sure that you get clear on that so it fits your schedule. And even you can be transparent that, like, I can get started on this in 2 weeks, or we can get started, today, tomorrow. Just be conscious of your time, but also just get to know what that timeline is. So when do you need this project completed is another good question to ask when you're on that sales call.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Definitely. Cause a lot of people will be like, oh, we want it right now. And you got to make sure that you're going to expectations are aligned there, before you dive in and waste everybody's time. Right.
Right. And if you say, well, when do we want to start this project? Most likely as soon as you can. Why? Like, what kind of question is that? If you flip it to when do you want this completed? You're more focusing on the end date, because they could give you like, well, I need something at least 3 weeks from now. That way you can know it's like, well, I have a couple of days then to get started. So that's why I think phrasing the question that way is key.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, I think these are some good questions that you guys need to, if you're not already asking, start asking them.
Yeah, you're the morale booster. I like it. These are great. Oh man. Well, anything else, Dan? Any other questions you'd like to ask? Maybe just make small talk. What's your favorite sports team? Anything like that?
Yeah, you got to do that rapport building, right? That's always important,
absolutely,
and try and get them on the same page. So Yeah, I think it's call by call, right? Whatever the topic of the day is, I don't have a go-to. What about you though?
Yeah, I mean, initially you're probably going to talk about the weather when you start. That kind of always happens, just like, oh, where are you from? Oh, I see you're from here. That's great. XYZ, you do the small talk, but just listen, like keep asking questions and find ways that you guys can relate more on a human, genuine level. Talk about hobbies, talk about where you've traveled. I mean, those things build that rapport, like you said, which is great. And I just go in with a ton of questions too, because if you ask a question and the client comes back, that's a great question. I always love hearing that phrase because it shows that you did your homework and you came prepared, when they think about that, because it gets them to think. I know when I say it back to you, like, Dan, if you ask me something, I was like, Dan, that's a great question. Because you're kind of then like, okay, let me think about this for a second. And then you're going to have more in-depth conversations. I think that's huge on a sales call. It doesn't show that you're nervous. It shows that you're taking it seriously.
Yeah, do your research. Definitely. You don't want to be like, oh, what's the name of your company?
Yeah, well, that's a great point too. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and Dan and I are working on something here. We've hinted at it before of just talking about the sales process. And we're coming up with a way to help you guys by doing a webinar on this and giving you guys some, freebies and resources that can really help you, navigate that sales process. So, you're comfortable setting yourself up for success, attracting the right clients, closing those deals as well, and making sure that the project goes smoothly. So stay tuned for that. And that's all we got for today's episode. Hope you guys all enjoyed. We got a few people watching here live, which is great. Thanks for tuning in, and everybody listening to the podcast. Don't forget to review and subscribe. We're going to shout everybody out who leaves reviews. As long as they're nice, we're going to shout you out on it.
Not the bad ones, yeah.
Yeah, not the bad ones at all. So we're looking forward to that. And then Dan, anything else?
No, that's it. Yeah, I'm excited to see the feedback on this one. Hopefully people got some value here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Copy Corner here with Terry Schilling and Dan Marzullo. As always, love what you do, proceed with passion, and we'll see you next time.